So, yeah, I do PR and marketing. I actually manage local bands. That's where my heart had lied for 9.5 years now. I put on shows, metal shows at the machine shop, and toured. I was a tour manager for years. That was fun. That was my life. I put on several shows a month, managed 6 bands to watch them grow into success. And that day that we got the letter, it looked like any other, tax letter. It's like, great, we get another streetlight assessment. This is wonderful. We don't even have a streetlight. What are we paying for? That kind of thing, And then I thought, well, instead of tossing it, let me go ahead and open this up. And it was a tiny little print that said, yes, we're in violation of the Safe Drinking Water Act. Here's a whole bunch of scientific words, and you might want to consult your doctor before using the water, but don't worry, it's fine. And so I said, okay. I guess I'll call my doctor. But as soon as you see something that says consult your physician before using, it's a concern because that's your tap water, which at that time we were paying several $100s a month for this water that was supposed to be fine. As I was staying there, I realized that this isn't right. There are laws. I pay for water. Why do I get this letter saying it's fine, but it's not? It's fine, but it's not, which, again, we're in day 1,178 today of the water crisis, and that is what it always is. It is, but it's not. It's safe, but it's not. It's okay, but it's not. That theme hasn't changed. So I looked at my husband, and I was like, what is this? What is this long bunch of stuff? So we hit Google, because, again, maybe I'm stubborn. I've never been one to look at something and be like, oh, okay, well, they say it's fine. It's fine. But what I had thought of was all of the problems that we had by that time. In 2014, our hair had started falling out, rashes. Our youngest, he had pneumonia in September of 2014, and we live by McLaren. We live right up the road, actually. And so we thought it was odd at the time. Our middle son, we have 3 amazing sons, had fallen off of his bike that same month, and his wrist shattered. And the doctor couldn't figure out why he was so fragile. He's a normal kid. And so I started just connecting all the dots. And at that time, I was in the middle of a respiratory infection that I'd had for 6 weeks, and 2 Z-Paks couldn't kick it. And so my head started spinning, and I got mad. May have a temper. So it felt like the floor fell out from underneath me, and I realized, oh, they lied to us. That's not okay. Let's figure out what this is. Everything that we found online was in complete contradiction to what that letter said. No, it's not fine. Yes, it is dangerous. No, you should not only not drink the water, but they don't want to talk about the fact that you shouldn't shower in this because you can inhale it and you can absorb it through your skin. And actually, you get 2 times the exposure to the same contaminants in a 10-minute shower because of inhalation and absorption than you do through drinking 2 liters of the same water. I'm into music. That's not things I want to know. Actually, it was my high school biology teacher's birthday last week, and I thanked him for all the gross stuff that he had taught us, because now I get to actually use it, which was never, ever my plan. As I was going through graduate school, I learned business, I learned accounting, I learned marketing, things like that. Not that. So I've had to learn in the past 2.5 years a whole bunch of gross stuff and a whole lot of infuriating things. So I wanted to know why they didn't have to tell us for 9 months that this was going on. Because since day 1, since they switched the water, we'd failed the safe drinking water test every single time. And they didn't have to tell us. I said, wait a second. Why do you get away with this? Why do you get to not tell me that, hey, you should probably protect your kids? And that's at the bottom. I'm angry, and we're suing, we're changing laws, we're yelling at people. If you've ever seen me, I yell at people a lot. Wouldn't have to do that if they just would have given me my rights as a mother to tell me, hey, things aren't working out the way they thought we were. We had planned this, it's just not working. Get some filters, drink some bottled water, we're going to work this out. They didn't. They said, you know what, you're being crazy. You're just being emotional, quit being a woman, you're just overreacting. You're fine. You're fine because we're telling you it's fine. And this is from the same people that were actively covering it up. So I realized as I started talking to Aaron Brockovich, 1, it's not just Flint. It's happening everywhere. People ask me, are you going to move? And I'm like, well, no. At least I pretty much know the contaminants that are in my water right now because of thorough testing. not by the state, of course, but outside experts that we've had to bring in. So I don't want to move to another city that probably has poisoned water as well and have to start this process all over again and saying, how am I being poisoned? So no, and also this is my home. This is our home. You know, we moved up here 16, almost 17 years ago. We're on our second house now. It's weird here, and we love it. Flint's definitely different, but we couldn't imagine living anywhere else. I mean, we talk about it. We do. But also you realize that, you know, if we get up and leave, they're going to get their way. And I'm also kind of stubborn, and I don't want them to do that. So we fight. Never was this planned. Again, that day in January, I asked my husband to look it up. Realized we'd been lied to. We saw on Facebook that there was a protest about the high bills and getting this letter, and the fact that there was a ton of people that didn't get the letter. So very cold day, I think it was January 16th, we stood in front of City Hall and went to our first protest. It was not a very comfortable situation for me at first. I'd never been to a protest. You know, they make you look crazy on TV, and I'm all like, I don't know what's going on, but my husband's an amazing artist, made some really cool signs, the Flint Water Skull sign, a whole bunch of stuff that now beaten up, but it's iconic. But as we were standing on that street, I talked to everybody there. They were different ages, genders, sexes, and from all different parts of the city, all with the same health problems. And so I'm like, okay, what can we do about this? Thank you to my husband, who is a web designer. He came up with the awesome name of What Are You Fighting For, which is clever. And he made the website, the Facebook, and then we started a Twitter because we realized that, with that letter, only half the homeowners received them and no renters did. So we felt it was ours, since we had the ability with the PR and with the web, we needed to get the information out to people. So it became a portal of accurate information. So then we started rolling into what I did know from planning meetings and putting on concerts. I figured, hey, I can throw a festival, I can plan a march. A little different, but we still did it. We started working with Aaron Brockovich and Lois Gibbs, who sent me this 384-page book on how to organize. It's a lot of reading. I kind of skimmed a lot too. I was like, is there a shorter version? But it was basically, you have to inform the public, because there's nothing scarier to a corrupt government or entity than an informed public that's united. And we can tell that to this day, because there's a lot of infighting. I don't know if you guys have seen it. We have people that don't live in Flint that like to come in and split the unity up, because then you're not going to get anything done. So these are things we have to fight past. That's really immature and ridiculous, but, I've been called so many names. I laugh. It's funny sometimes, but sometimes it's really annoying, because it takes you away from the work you need to get done, which is massive. There are so many issues with the Flint water crisis. Is not just the water, obviously. So we started organizing. We started holding meetings. We started going to rallies. We started going door to door. Actually, March of 2015. And sorry if this insults anybody or offends anybody, but we followed at the time former Mayor Walling on his campaign trail, and we hung door hangers saying, have you had your water tested? Do you have these problems? If so, please get your water tested, go to your doctor, and call all these people, from congressmen, senators, EPA. And so we just followed behind him as he was reassuring everybody the water was fine, even though we'd taken the test. It was me, my kids, and a few friends, and hanging door hangers, knocking on doors, talking to people. So we kind of somehow got his map, and we followed it. And so we started going door to door. My husband designed the door hangers. We printed them up, and this is how we've spent our tax return money for the past 3 years, is T-shirts, flyers, going door to door, because not everybody uses the internet, and lucky people aren't on Facebook. So we had to do this because we realized that we could not rely on our government at any level to tell us the truth. We'd already gone to meetings, gotten kicked out, got yelled at, that kind of thing, and they would not answer our questions. We don't know, you're fine. We don't know, you're fine. You wouldn't accept this from a doctor. You wouldn't accept this from your car mechanic. I don't know why your wheels keep flying off, but you're fine. Go hit the highway, you're fine. It's not acceptable. So when it comes to something with water, and that's another thing we never realized. When I speak out of town, I ask people, who had showered that morning, who had given their dogs water, who had filled an ice cube tray, made coffee, brushed their teeth with their tap water, without a second thought, without worrying that they've poisoned their children, without thinking, okay, I'm in the shower, what did I just pick up? What's in it now? Why is that smell different than yesterday? So people are shocked, because you just take for granted, I did, all the things we used water for. Even when I knew the water was bad, I was sick and I was still using a humidifier, not realizing that I was nailing myself pretty good with that steam in my face at night. So it takes a lot of getting used to. It does. And now we are living off of this and fighting for this, and there's no dignity in this. Still paying the highest water bills, and we have to fight for bottled water, which is kind of ridiculous, with the same people that caused our poisoning that controls this. So during all of this, we started getting really sick. It started with our sons. It started with the fact that, like today, they're not here. The studies, as you heard before, we don't know what lead or total trihalomethanes or the different bacterias we're dealing with, or chloroform or bromodichloromethane, all of the things that we're exposed to that they're not telling you about. We don't know what they do long term to the body. There just aren't studies. They study some studies for children 6 and under, but they're not talking about seniors, adults, people with compromised immune system, pets. I've never seen so many pets on seizure meds, or people who have lost loved ones because of this, because of water, something as simple as water, something as important as water. So we researched. We brought in independent testers. We brought in Mark Edwards. And because February, a month after we got started, Bob Bocock, who works with Aaron Brockovich, came in, marched with us, and said, if you have orange and brown water, I bet you've got copper and lead too. That means your water's too corrosive. The scary thing is lead has no color. And believe me, to this day, we still have people that say, well, my water's clear, it's fine. And that's the scariest thing. That breaks my heart every time, because those people end up having the highest levels of lead. There's a lady, her name is Vicki Marks, and she's amazing. She's developed Parkinson's out of nowhere. And she has a copper service line, so she was told she was fine. The state came in and changed her fixtures. She just told me yesterday she got a letter shoved in her door that she has 5,533 parts per billion of lead as of yesterday. Well, July 5th is when she did the test. So it's not getting better. Clear water means nothing, absolutely nothing. Most contaminants don't even have a color. The lucky people are the ones that had orange and brown water because they knew to stop drinking it. So we have to fight that narrative. Been doing it since day one. When we found lead, February, I think it was 26th of 2015, we announced this. And they said, no, you're not, you're liars. You silly window lickers, because apparently that's where we got our lead poisoning, was chewing on windowsills. I get hungry, I can't help it. So so that's what we do. You know, we just all chew them up and stuff. It certainly couldn't come from water. Lead doesn't come from water. Right, okay, fine. So we had to say, yes, there is, let's fight on this. The same cycle of, there's not bacteria in the water. Oh, well, people died from bacteria. I guess, yeah, okay, there's bacteria in the water. Still, to this day, they're saying there's not bacteria, even though we've had people that almost died from dysentery caused by Shigella. We have several different strains of bacteria coming through our showers. We have Pseudomonas aeruginosa and Acetobacter juni, which is actually typically found in Asia and Australia. That's pretty cool. We like to be unique, but we're not. So we've been bringing people in. They get attacked. It's the same thing. Oh, you're a fearmonger. You're this, because they like to paint us as dumb and dirty people. They didn't realize that we can use the internets, and we may be poor, but guess what? We're not stupid. We know you're lying, and we can, and we talk. People talk to each other, and that's the thing, is the people that decided to do this experiment on us didn't expect that. So united we are, and we still fight, saying, yes, the water's still not safe. You have to give us this. We don't want it. We hate it. I hate the sound of the crinkling water bottles. So that's why we've done a few protests. We're in meetings, and every time somebody lies, we crinkle the water bottles, because we're like, we hate that sound. You get to hate it too. So whenever we hear those things, and it's frustrating because, I hate it. I hate the caps. I hate it, but we have no other alternatives at this point. We did ask for FEMA to come in, water trucks, all the wonderful things we haven't gotten. People tend to think that because we have media attention, which is great, that's what I do, I feel like, yes, success. It's not done really much of anything. However, Washington, D.C. is in year 16 of their lead crisis. They were told the same things we were. You don't have to replace these pipes, no big deal. Throw some phosphates on it. Put some phosphoric acid in there. D.C., showering there is as horrible as showering is here. And that is absolutely terrifying. So we have to fight to not be D.C. We love them, and we formed also the National Campaign for Lead-Free Water. So we're fighting with them. They have a TTHM problem now. They got bacteria. They got all sorts of issues. And we realize, again, of course, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, all of these cities are facing the same thing. They just don't know it, or they suspect it. And so we can use our horrible tragedy here to help them and say, okay, you got to call in outside testers. You can't depend on the people that are making decisions to say, oh, yeah, it's fine. Because who's going to say, oh, I screwed up? That's not right. It's dangerous. It could kill you. So now we're fighting about the bacteria, because I'm sure all of you probably know somebody who's dealing with respiratory infections, ear infections. We have bacterial pink eye going around right now. Lots of pneumonia in the summer, which is just absurd. So, and they're not drinking the water, but they're still showering in it, because yes, we do shower. We hear that too. Oh, you guys have bacteria because you don't shower. It's like, no, we do, and that's the problem. So we have to completely fight that narrative and remind people that we're human. We're human beings, and yes, okay, so we get it. We're poor. People don't like us, whatever. We have our issues, but we still matter. We wear those shirts that say Flint Lives Matter, even though in our back of our brains we're like, not everybody agrees with this. So we got to fight because we believe it, and that's what matters. So we had just settled a lawsuit that we had worked on for a year and a half to get the city and state to comply with the lead and copper rule. Because there's laws that say that they can't do what it is that they're doing. And I'm like, I abide by I speed. But, I abide by the laws, I haven't gone up and punched somebody in the face. I'd like to, but I don't. I follow the laws, for the most part. I pay my taxes, pay my bills. I do all these things. So why do you get to get away with not following the laws? Well, the laws, Safe Drinking Water Act and Lead and Copper Rule, are 20 years old plus. They're outdated. When I testified in front of Congress in February, they laid it out for me that, when the Democratic side wants to update and change the Lead and Copper Rule, the Republicans just want to get rid of it. I'm like, you know what? And I said, you guys all use water. You breathe air. You eat food. I was like, how is this a partisan issue? This is a human issue. And then Congressman from Georgia, Congressman Barton got mad at me and left. But, it's fine. I have that effect on people sometimes. I think I'm nice, but apparently, facts make people mad at me. So that's what we do. So we've had to fight there. And then I realized, okay, we need to change the laws. We need to change the laws so this doesn't happen to us anymore, but also to anybody else, because I don't want to see anybody else's family go through this. Our sons have to go to physical therapy because what they don't tell you is between the ages of 9 and 14, the growth plates that are in your body from your neck down to your heels are open and spongy. And what this is when my boys hit these giant growth spurts and their bones grow, it's so their muscles and joints will stretch along with them. Lead and copper and other metals and contaminants are stored in these growth plates. So our sons are in pain. That's why they're not with us this morning. They sleep. We let them sleep as long as they possibly can. They're in pain because their growth plates are hardening prematurely. So as their bones grow and they are taller than me, my 13 and 14-year-old are taller than me. It's ridiculous. It's not fair. But they're taller than me. Their joints and muscles aren't. So they walk like this. It hurts every movement. So all the things that they want to do, play sports, play basketball, kickball, all these things, they can't do. They've had to drop out of basketball tryouts every year because they're in pain. My youngest, his white blood cell count is 4, so when somebody sneezes across town, he gets sick. And that's due to exposures of benzenes in the shower. We have 1,4-dichlorobenzene in our shower. And so we, of course, through outside testing, have had to look at this because the laws don't cover showering and bathing, which is where most people get their exposure to water. So looking at all this, and every time we turn around, not to mention my kids are seeing a rheumatologist. Our oldest is seeing an endocrinologist. He just turned 19 and gets to start college. He won a scholarship. We're really proud of him. But he had to relearn how to learn because they don't talk about the brain fog and the memory loss in kids. So imagine us as adults. The seniors, the people who are already sick, didn't need this, don't need this. So that's when I'm not a politician. I do not like them. We don't get along very well. But when they explain to me what the Environmental Caucus does, it basically you get to hold your politicians accountable and get to protect your air, water, land, the beautiful things we have in this state. I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. And it's been interesting. But the biggest thing is changing the laws. So one of the things that our group is a co-sponsor on is the Water Act. It's from Congressman John Conyers. You just have to Google it. He's here in Michigan. And what it does is it taxes corporate offshore profits. Fine with us. The wealthy don't like it. But it's the things. Hey, pay your taxes like the rest of us have to. But it taxes corporate offshore profits to a very small percentage to provide $35 billion a year to fund infrastructure across the entire country. Reservations who are way worse off than we are. Hospitals, daycares, schools, things that are not covered by the Lead and Copper Rule and Safe Drinking Water Act. This will provide grants, not loans, to cities, especially poor ones like ours that don't even qualify for loans and don't need the extra debt. Grants to replace the infrastructure all the way up into the homes. because that's another piece. So we settled the Safe Drinking Water Act case, and we got them to, well, we didn't get them to, they're forced to replace 18 to 20,000 lead and galvanized service lines. Not copper, not mains, not home plumbing. So it's a small piece. It is an absolutely small piece of the puzzle, but this is what we have to do. We have to go to court. Then we got to change the laws. We have to fight in the streets. We have to get the doctors involved. We have to do this, which sounds completely overwhelming and stressful. Believe me, it is. I miss my cool life. I miss my concert life. It was a lot easier than this. Dealing with hustling like getting 30 musicians up on stage and doing the right thing and all this stuff, I thought was so stressful. Planning out a tour, so stressful. Now this is, because this is life and death, and it's a lot more important. So there's a lot to do. But don't feel overwhelmed, because that means there's a lot of places you can jump in and get involved. So my husband does amazing artwork. I do this thing. So you can find your place to do this, because it is not just happening to us. And the fact that it's gone on for over 3 years now with little to no progress, and any progress has been forced by the courts, shows that they're not going to just get up and be like, you know what, we're really sorry we poisoned you. Let's fix this. My bad. I mean, that's what we would do. If you went into a store and broke something, you would probably fix it or pay for it, or at least show some kind of compassion. And that's not happening. Fine, we're not waiting for it. We're going to make it happen. And that's what we do. So there are laws you can get behind. You can push your Congress people. You can push your representatives. Again, the Water Act is important, and it's just water ACT. John Conyers, look it up. It is very, very crucial, because it's going to help all of us in the future. And then also we ask that you not follow mainstream media as much and actually listen to Flint residents' stories. Because when you start to have seizures like I do, I have a neurologist, rheumatologist, gastroenterologist, environmental physician, and I have an infectious diseases doctor now, because the bacteria I'm exposed to could kill me if I get pneumonia. Pretty cool. I'm 38. It's awesome. And also our teeth are falling out of our head. 2 weeks ago, 5 of us had to drive to Mexico to go get our teeth fixed. It's hot. It's 107 degrees, but I could afford to get my fillings done, and they do a good job. So I have to go back, because I have 9 cavities and 2 teeth have had just completely crumbled in my mouth. Lead replaces the calcium in your body. So I also have osteoarthritis because of that, and bone spurs that have built up from my neck down to my feet. I'm exhausted a lot. We're sick. My husband's sick. My sons are sick. All of us are. And some people are hit worse than others. Why? We don't know how this works. So again, there's a lot of research to be done. There's a lot of work to be done. But if you just look at it as a human issue and say, you know what, we're going to fight for each other to make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else, you can get it done. A metal promoter can get a lot done by pushing. An artist, our sons who have spoken out. Everybody can make a difference in this and protect yourselves. So I appreciate you guys listening to my story. I don't want to have anybody else deal with what we have to. And if you're already dealing with it, come talk to me. We want to share your stories, because we want the world to know human beings are at risk here. Pets are at risk here. Livelihoods are at risk here. And don't just think that it can't happen to you. Because again, if Flint doesn't get fixed properly, the next city or the current cities that are poisoned are going to be following the same path of sweep it under the rug, let them die off or let them leave. And we're not going to let that happen. So Flint is the center of, it has been, of a lot of movements. So we're going to make this social justice movement go forward here in Flint. As tired, sick, and broke as we are, we're going to change the world, and we want everyone to be a part of it, because you know what? No one deserves to try to open a package and you have a myoclonic twitch because you have lead and copper in your brain and you cut your finger, and your kids have to see it. I mean, I have a cool Band-Aid. It's got an alligator on it. It's pretty sweet. But nobody deserves to not be able to sleep at night, to not grow up the way that you want to forget the homework that you did the night before, to forget where you're at. Worse than already it happens. You leave your keys and stuff, but you really forget everything. To be sick all the time, to not enjoy life, and to be afraid of your shower. Nobody deserves that, except for the people that did this to us. So that's a whole other story altogether. But I appreciate you guys being here and how active your church has been and your community. Thank you. We appreciate it. All of us do, whether you live in Flint or not. Thank you. And just keep up the good work. And I hope to see you out at some meetings and rallies. So thank you.